All right, welcome back to Business Growth Playbook. My name is Jeff Evans. I am the host. I'm here with Dean and Lou. This is episode number 5. It's been a while since I've seen you, Dean. You look different.
A little thinner.
A little
like the
thinner.
scales.
Yeah.
Yeah, we head to Oktoberfest in Munich tomorrow. So very excited about going to Prague and there. And to fit in my lederhosen, I'm 39 pounds down.
Wow,
so
that's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I'm not sure I'll be that much down when I get back, but
How long are you going?
we'll be over there about 10 days.
10 days. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Looking forward to it.
Well, good. Well, we're going to take a trip next week. We're going to Orange Beach, Alabama for the fall break. Looking forward to a little bit of rest as much as possible while you still work, of course. But that is not why we're here today. Today, we're here to talk about more sales goodness, specifically the Rain Group. So why don't you tell me more about this whole company here?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things with Sales Growth Imagination, we're trying to figure out how do we help more types of small businesses. And I mean, you understand what we do on the higher end sales infrastructure and fix and repairing sales process, may manage their people interim to help till we get the right people, the right leader hired, or the framework on the high end with the roadmap, strategic playbook to help companies that are doing okay today to help them scale.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of clients that we really haven't had the right entry point and or additional services. So I'm very excited about the fact that we have individual-based training that you can apply coaching around. Probably more important than that, the commitment that Sales Growth Imagination is making is we have the pleasure of having Lou Melancon join, and that is his sole purpose. And Lou has been doing a tremendous amount of work to get certified on Rain Group, as well as the CSL, which is, the Certified Sales Leadership Program. So very excited for that because that gets us into B2C. It could be a husband, wife at a counter, needing additional help in sales. It could be a business owner and maybe a rep, but it's really built to help and be affordable for the small businesses. In some cases, it may be a great entry point into the account. In other cases, it may be the only way we can help the account, but at least now instead of walking away, we have a good solution with Lou and with Rain Group.
So Lou, are you going to be taking over this project, if you will, and going and speaking to these people and selling the sales, if you will?
I don't know if I'll be doing the selling. I may be.
Yeah.
When Dean asked me to come in, he's more than capable of doing the selling on his own. My job is to deliver the product to the client. So we talked about this going back about 5 months, and we said, okay, we'd really see a gap and an opportunity in training, sales training. So we started looking at how we would do it. And we chanced upon the Rain Group. And the Rain Group is very, very interesting in the way they approach training. First of all, what they do is they talk to a lot of salespeople and a lot of customers and find out the perspective of the sales rep and the perspective of the customer. For instance, one of the things they found that prevents a sale from happening is the customers don't feel like they're listened to. They feel like they're talked to, but not listened to. And Rain has made a real effort to develop a high-level consultative program. But let me tell you about Rain Group itself. What it is it's a series or modules on aspects of the sales process. It could be prospecting. It could be negotiating. It could be listening. It could be questioning. They have 14 modules in the basic program, which is $985 per year per person. Incidentally, you're not limited to those 14 courses. There's 70 courses total that you could take. But the way they deliver it is over the internet. It's self-paced learning weekly. The participants can do it on their time. It doesn't have to be early in the morning, middle of the day. It can be late in the day, whenever it fits their schedule. It could even be evenings or weekends. And the courses are amazing. They're delivered by professionals who take you through each step with a lot of visual representation. And then at the end of the step, they ask you a number of questions. And if you get it right, thumbs up. If you get it wrong, they give you a chance to do it again and again till you get it right. So it really reinforces what you just learned. Then at the end of it, there's a quiz, if you will, to see where you stand. And incidentally, that information comes back to Dean and I, and we share it with the business owner. Here's how your people are progressing through the course. Another thing we can do while we're doing the RAIN Group program is we can assess the effectiveness of the sales force, where they're strong, how good the value proposition is. Do they really understand where they are with clients? And your old salts, the people who have been selling for 20 years, are the ones that are least likely to participate in sales training.
Of course.
Because they know everything. Nevertheless, our experience has shown that they really enjoy it, that they do learn, and they learn from the others in the group. Now, that brings me to a second point. Each week, all of the students are going through the RAIN Group modules, and then once a week, we have a coaching session. It's not really coaching. It's doing role plays, situational walkthroughs. So if you're going to develop or make mistakes, you make them inside, not outside with the client. And they're extremely effective. They're done with me and the sales rep, with me and the sales group, and it reinforces what they've learned. It's really good for the business sales manager or business owner to attend these as well. So you get a lot of knowledge, and then we imprint the knowledge permanently with the coaching sessions. So that's the big picture of what we're doing. It is extraordinarily effective. Nobody is good at everything, but this will make you better at many things. And the net result for the business is they're going to increase revenue, and the net result for the sales rep is they're going to have an income increase. It's a win-win, and it's so inexpensive, $985 a year per rep. You pay for each individual one, and then you have Dean and I's coaching on top of that, and he's involved in the coaching as I am. So he's talking to the owner. We're assessing the progress of the team. We're looking at how we can make it more personalized for that group. And I hope that makes sense to your viewers.
Yeah. So what type of, and I know that a lot of different types of industries would be, it'd be beneficial for them to use it. But what do you think is going to be like the bread and butter? Like, who desperately needs a program like this at this point?
Well, I can give you a perspective on some of the conversations. I was meeting with Bill Reach at GMAP, and you think about a lot of
what is GMAP?
Georgia Manufacturing Extension Partnership.
Okay,
it's actually out of the Georgia Tech program. They actually are a great program. They have 10 regional managers that are supporting the efforts of manufacturing companies in Georgia. So impressive people and support. But one of the things, when you think about Georgia and the number of counties that are in Georgia, and you think about as you get rural outside the metros, there's a lot of manufacturing plants that have one or two salespeople. How do they help train their people? Where do they go? And this program enables, in the manufacturing side, your ability to train that 1, 2, 3 sales professionals and support them. But the reality is, this is endless. I think it gets us into the B2C, which we haven't been. It could be people who have bought a franchise or they have their own business and they're like, wow, they're really good business people, good people. They're trying to grow. And they're like, we're not salespeople. Our background's not that. That applies in this case. But the other part that gets me really excited, when you think about our higher end services, I mean, at the end of the day, what I do to perfect the sales process, every step of the funnel, making it absolutely repeatable, tying that to a CRM so that you're dealing with information and dashboards proactively, not reactive with reports or spreadsheet managing. That has given the owner predictable outcome once that's perfected. But if you back up in a case like this, those services, that's about $8,000 for half a day, about $15,000 for a day. There's a lot of businesses where that investment just doesn't make sense. So for approximately, and depending on the people, but less than 4 or 5, I'll let Luke to talk on this. You're about $2,500 a month in training. And, for lack of a better term, think of a sales manager in a box. You have an owner. They have one salesperson. They really don't today have a good, affordable program to train themselves or the rep or two. In this case, Luke could take and measure the progress. So it's simple as the scorecard. Hopefully they're not spreadsheet managing the sales process, but unfortunately about 90% of companies are. But whether it's scorecard on a spreadsheet, scorecard in a CRM, one of the things that with visibility, you can take a look at each module and to see the impact and start measuring that, the effectiveness of the training, specific to what Lou already referenced, the sales reps' performance, their income, and most importantly to the owner, their revenue growth with what it's generating for gross margin dollars. And that part to me gets really exciting because really in the past, I didn't have a program to help a lot of really good business owners, great people, and I really didn't have a fit. Now we have a fit, Jeff, almost practically with every account, especially as you know, because I know in your business, while you're B2B, you do a lot with B2C. As you know, I haven't really played there. Now I actually have a program where I do. And thanks to Rain Group and more importantly to Lou.
So Lou, go ahead.
I want to go back to your question about what groups or what businesses would benefit most from this. Mm-hmm. In other words, would it be engineers, architects, manufacturers, hospitals? The interesting thing about salespeople is they verticalize themselves, and businesses verticalize themselves too. Let me tell you a quick story. Years and years ago, I knew a young salesman. He was just getting started, didn't have a customer base, so he was out there cold calling. He had a briefcase, he had a bunch of brochures, and he was knocking on doors. Mm-hmm. Well, the first sale he made was to a bank, and it was a pretty good sale. He learned the words that are used in banking. He learned how they viewed his product, and he started calling on banks. He made himself a vertical banking rep. Now, the Rain Group product, when we sit down and have a meeting with the weekly with the sales team, we learn the words they use. We learn the business, how they approach it, who their competitors are. So yes, let's say we work with a manufacturer like Dean just pointed out, and we learn a number of words that are specific to that industry in Georgia. Well, it makes sense we would use that with the next manufacturer. But the core program, the message we're imparting doesn't change, and it's not geared to a specific industry. It's the basics and the advanced elements of every sales process. So just about anybody.
So let's get into the actual product then itself. So you've been through all of it, obviously.
Absolutely.
What are some of the standout maybe points of the curriculum or some of the areas where you're like, okay, this is really going to help a lot of business owners?
Well, let's talk about that. RAIN is an acronym. Okay. It's for rapport. It's for aspiration. A is for aspiration and affliction. Where do they want to go? What's holding them back? Mm-hmm. I is information. Information from the client to the sales rep and from the sales rep back to the client. Matter of fact, in most cases, their research has shown that the sales rep who gets the business is the one who's moved the customer the furthest ahead. Sure. In some way. And the N is for the new normal, what it's going to be like and how it's going to work when it happens, when you get it done. That's the first thing that impressed me. The second thing is as you go through each module, and I've got a list of them here, mm-hmm. as you go through each one, the module that follows it builds on the first. It's a very logical sequence, and it reinforces the lessons each time. Each week reinforces the lessons that have come before it.
That's really good. Yeah.
So it's a very strong program.
Yeah.
I think I'm more impressed with how effective it is as a teaching tool, and how good the product itself is, and what it imparts to the rep.
Okay. Have you guys come across some people that have had success with it, that have used the program already?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I'm tight in a sales acceleration part of my business, and there are people in our company that this is all they do.
Oh, okay.
They feel it's the best part, and they don't do it as an entry point into an account or an adjunct. They're doing this as their business. And, the success on it is, if you think of Rain Group and you go to larger corporate entities where they really have their own professionals and they sell this, they've basically taken this and applied it to small business owners, to where companies like us, that's what we touch, that we have a great program. But at this point, what I'm excited to do is to really see some of the effectiveness on the B2C, again, people at the counter doing that. But the sales manager in a box part, when I think about what we're already doing for, $5 million to $50 million companies, and perfecting that sales process and tying it to the CRM, we have the ability to do that for clients that really aren't going to be in a position to use those other services. And I think that's where I'm most excited, because with Lou's experience and background and a lot of success in sales, individual contributor in a number of different services and high-end solutions, as well as a very strong sales leader. All of a sudden, you're a small business owner. You're getting all that expertise wrapped into the box as well. You're not going to get that from most any other trainer, regardless of the level of company that you are.
Yeah.
Jeff, let me give you an example of something that I think is really powerful, and it's completely overlooked today. It's called virtual selling. A lot of times you don't have a chance to be across the desk from the buyer. You're trying to reach out to them in telephone calls, follow-up emails, but it's very, very powerful when sitting at a computer and your client sitting at their computer, you can talk to each other, see each other, and actually show examples of what you're talking about. And people aren't really teaching virtual selling, and there's an entire module, one of the 14 in the Rain Group basic training program, that focuses on that.
Wow.
And I guarantee you that's extraordinarily powerful today. The companies that understand how to sell virtually will dominate the markets.
Well, let's expand on that one, because that's really interesting. So we're talking about Zoom calls, basically, and there's a whole strategy behind how to sell via Zoom.
Yes. There's a strategy behind how do you approach a client. And then when you got an interest, and the client says, well, I've heard this same story from other people. I'm not really convinced it's for me, but I'll listen. That if you get a client to the point where they say they're neither negative or positive, but they'll look and listen, that's the point where you want to do a Zoom call. And you'll have evidence to back up your claims that you'll show during that call. You'll do more information gathering with the client. You'll be checking, does your product and its capabilities truly deliver a benefit, and explain it to the client. And then ask them in their dreams where they really want to go, not what their problems are. That comes next. Ask them where they want to go. And then during that call, ask them what's holding them back. And talk them through it. It's a great way to get you to the face-to-face, to meet the team, to learn the players, to develop an inside sales rep, if you will.
Yeah.
Powerful selling.
Yeah.
It's all part of a process.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely love that. I think that if you have a program where you're able to build that confidence which we'll get into in a minute because I definitely want to talk on confidence too. But the confidence to be able to pull off a well done Zoom call alone, because between sharing screens and talking when someone else is talking, and then you can't because all that kind of garbage. So if you can actually learn how to do that properly and pull it off correctly, it really lends to the professionalism of yourself and then the actual benefits of whatever product or service that you're offering. Well, because it all makes a difference.
When we're doing the weekly coaching sessions, we will be doing simulated Zoom calls or Teams calls, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll be role playing through them. Now, another thing that's happening right now, and Rain is at the absolute leading edge. When you do a role play, it really depends on how good the person who's acting as a buyer is. Are they realistic? Do they ask the right questions? In a lot of role plays, they make it too easy. Okay, and it's not realistic.
Well, because they use a sales rep to be the buyer.
Yes.
And the sales rep can't be the buyer. And I went through all that crap, too. It's terrible training. It just doesn't work that way.
Here's what they're doing. And I saw a demonstration of it just recently.
Yeah.
With the advent of AI, they're now building AI personas.
Yeah.
And for different levels of employee, and the AI is interacting. Then they go back and score it, and they show the rep what his score was, where they were strong, where they weren't. Now, it's not yet here, but we're talking soon.
Yeah.
Talking not long at all. It not only conducts the AI is the buyer, conducts the role play, grades it, and says, these are areas you're strong, these are the areas you should work on, and here's what you should be doing. Not just grading it, but making suggestions about how to improve.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I got a good friend now who is a partner in a company that they created an AI persona that is a bookkeeper and does a lot of other financial work as well. And it is some of the coolest stuff I've ever seen. And it's that same world, right? So it's coming, and there's no doubt. And they've been able to pull off something that is absolutely incredibly special. I think it's called Brecca. Pardon me, Blair. But anyways, the advent of AI being used for that type of advantage is so huge. I'm using it now to interview me. So some of the content you see is me being interviewed by AI. I prompt it, I get it ready, and then it asks me the questions, and I sit back, relax like I'm on my own show. And then, of course, I cut out all of the AI portions of it. But yeah, that's what you're seeing is me being interviewed by AI. Yeah. And I learned that from somebody else. Obviously, I didn't create that my own, but I learned that from somebody else. And I was like, wow, that's actually really smart because you need to create content all the time. Obviously, I'm a content creation machine. And to be able to do that, you're going to have to use things like AI. So I want to talk about confidence. Okay, because confidence in sales is so key. Some of the best salespeople that I've ever met were incredibly cocky or, just really high on themselves. But hey, ego can work really well in sales. There's no doubt about that. But really, when it comes down to it, the best approach is to have a really good, strong confidence level. So can you kind of speak on how Rain kind of helps that whole process?
Yeah, that's a very broad topic because what you want is confidence in every element of the sales process. How to be confident when you're prospecting. Come across as you're a winner. You've got something they should have. This is going to be good for your business.
Right.
And encourage in negotiations, how to negotiate, even how to set negotiating the first appointment, what it'll be about, how long it'll be, when it'll be, etc. You've got to know each of the steps intimately and have confidence in your ability to deliver it. And that's what I see Rain giving people is when you come out of this, you're not the same person you were when you went in. You know a lot more and you're able to do it because you've been tested in role plays over a period of 14 lessons.
So how long should the whole process take? If you're not a quick study, but let's say the average salesperson.
What we're seeing right now is about 32 weeks. That's doing a lesson every 2 weeks, and it depends on the size of the class.
Okay.
You can do it effectively in about 16 weeks. The right size is somewhere between 4 and 5 participants. Larger than that, and you're going to have 2 coaching sessions a week because you just can't coach 8 or 9 people at one time. You can coach 3 to 5. Even 5 is even a little bit high. but you can coach anywhere up to 4 well in a week, and you can manage them through the process. We're seeing that you do 4 people over a 16-week period.
16 weeks, okay. But they're learning great skills along the way. So I know a lot of people get very antsy. And when you're hiring sales staff, you need to make sales now.
Well,
so I'm assuming that helps the process.
What you'll see is an incremental improvement week after week.
Okay. Yeah, great.
Okay. And the first thing you're going to see is the sales rep's approach. And we're going to help them understand how effective or ineffective their initial approach is, and get them into more clients so they can make more presentations, so they have more opportunities to do proposals, and finally to close more.
Okay, that's great.
Like anything else, sales is a numbers game. You've got to make this many calls to get this many appointments, to get this many presentations, to get this many sales.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, the other thing that can happen in terms of confidence, by touching the reps, the company, and really learning and looking at what tools they have today or don't have today. There's so many other tools that are now affordable at a subscription level that weren't even available, say, 5 years ago. So most small business owners aren't aware of them. So there's tools that we may see that they don't have a good way to get better qualified pipeline, the contacts, the companies. There's tools like KnowledgeNet AI that in that tool, $750 a year for a sales rep per license. That's going to give them confidence, because when you start teaching them how to find the different accounts in their territory, contacts, then trying to go above and beyond to look at the relationship path, that's giving them some tools that are going to help them be more successful out of the gate. But then there's tools that help them nurture relationships of prospects, because today I can tell you, Jeff, the number one issue I see is accounts cannot exist on doing business with their customers. They have got to get new business. So that means you're going after new logos. Well, those competitors, you can't count on them dropping the ball. It may happen every now and then, but you have to find a way to take customers away from your competitors who are doing a good job. So how are you going to be better? So there's tools like Avenir that help you nurture and manage that relationship, that you're doing touch points that complements KnowledgeNet, and other tools like SalesReach.io that are giving the rep the ability to have all the tools in a digital library, like what a large company uses, so that you can grab, whether it's a, PDF, or you're doing a video snippet or other tools, versus doing a PowerPoint dump or a big proposal. You're getting information so you can personalize it and even write the script to that client as you follow up. So that's what gets me excited, because as Lou is coaching, he's also learning to go, oh, they don't even have a way to get good qualified leads. And right now, as you know, on the demand gen, especially with what McKinsey just came out with, 8-10 weeks ago, 0.5% open rate from people that the recipient doesn't know. I mean, so all of a sudden there's some tools that Lou can say, hey, here's a better way. So the other part is, this leads us into understanding what is the perfect job description of a sales rep for this company. So generally what will happen, and we're going to be working hard to assure this, reps selling more, they're growing. Well, guess what? That owner, next thing they're going to want to do is to hire additional salespeople. We're going to be able to have the job description. As you know, I work with Amplify, which is a company that only recruits sales professionals, sales leaders. So now, instead of guessing and winging it, we're going to be able to say, here's exactly what we need. Here's the industry. Here's the kind of skill sets that Lou is seeing the reps be most successful. So now they're going out to find the reps. They don't do the job postings like a lot of folks. They go and find a person selling in that industry, not necessarily a competitor either. Someone selling to the similar or the same decision makers, similar product solution set, if you will. then all of a sudden, when the people are coming on board new, not only are you having a better skill set out of the gate, Lou is then taking them out of the gate and implementing them to the program. If we've implemented any tools, they're leveraging those. So that's going to help them be more successful out of the gate. And the beautiful part for the owner, if that's happening out of the gate, they're going to have very content employees. And as you know now with Gen Y, Gen Z, some of the millennials, the baby boomer, you start looking, it's critical to keep your good employees and to help make them better. So that culture, and ultimately I think with what Lou and Rain Group is doing, we're going to actually be helping the owners build that right sales culture. That's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be great for the company.
Yeah. Lou, so, I mean, I think that's an amazing, total package when it comes down to helping these companies. But from a Rain Group perspective, I want to kind of dial maybe a little bit more into the program. So, there's a lot of other sales training programs out there, believe it or not. There's quite a few. So what is going to really set the tone and the difference between Rain Group and some of those others out there currently?
It's a great question. And I can think of two things right off the top of my head. The first one is the amount of attention the individual gets, because this is a course aimed at individuals and then group coaching. So each individual gets the full treatment. They watch the online module. They're the one who goes through the process. It's very personalized. The second thing is the price. It is so much less for so much more than the other training modules out there. And I really hope the people we talk to are interested enough to compare us to other people and look at what other people offer. Now, I want to go back to something you asked a little while ago.
Sure.
It was about confidence and differentiation. When Dean and I are sitting there talking at the very beginning of the sales the sales course, the training course, we're talking about prospecting. We're talking about using LinkedIn, using the phone, using email. We need to hear what they tell clients, what their value statement is. Here's what my company and my product gives you. So many people expect the rep to develop their own. They don't, as a company, develop their value statement, their value proposition. We need to see that right up front to know if it's any good or not, and tell them you either got a good one and we can improve it, or we got to work on this. You need some help with this because the people you're talking to don't really appreciate what you're offering. Mm-hmm. So developing that initial pitch is a very big part of our process.
How are you pricing that? I mean, if the pitch needs to be solid before you even get into another program, are you offering that as a free kind of add-on, or is there a cost involved in that portion?
It's a good question. I think some of that will be included natural from Lou's coaching. If someone takes it to a next level on a value prop and that delivery, because you really have two components of a value prop, and you can make an argument three, but one is the elevator pitch. You got to have a really good elevator pitch that you're comfortable and confident doing with no advance warning. It's going to happen and you better be ready to go. It's got to be good. Mm-hmm. Then you have the value prop itself, right? So depending on the extent of what we determine, there is an entire value prop training module that we have in Sales Growth Imagination itself. We'd have to determine if that's needed. Generally, I would say that if you have a bigger sales team, and instead of winging it across the board, at that point, you're going to want it 100% repeatable and predictable. That's when you would roll to more of a, in-depth value prop, but that would probably be an addition to.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, because as you know, I always ask the owners when I go in, with a new contract, do I have your permission to piss you off?
Right.
Because generally they don't like me the first couple months, and I don't blame them. I'm doing it in the spirit of helping them, but I'm asking some tough questions and giving some feedback that they really don't want to hear or don't like hearing.
Well, it's because they created the monster that they have.
Oh, they're proud of it.
In one of my accounts, and I won't tell you which one for lack of respect and love for them, that I graduated from is, I had an account recently that went in about 8 months ago, was able to build out the sales team, got the VP of sales hired. He's now on, very proud of him. It's awesome, because it's what they need. And we're going to allow him to hire the next few people so that he can build out his own team in addition to what they had. Well, one of the last things was, okay, we got to nail this value prop. And the owner asked me, he goes, well, how do you think they'll do out of the gate? And I go, the truth? He goes, well, yeah. I said, they're going to suck. I said, I haven't seen anywhere yet where they're good. And I said, by the way, if you put me on the spot, on my own company, if I'm not ready, it may not be so good. And he goes, I don't know if I buy into that. I said, all right, you give me your value prop on your company now. I watched an owner, a very great guy, very successful owner, freeze up and couldn't utter a word out of his mouth. So no planning, no prep, because and when you get into value prop, elevator pitch, it's not only the salespeople, it's the sales leader, it's the owner, it's anyone in your company that's touching a customer. I don't care if they're a shipping manager, there's someone in ops, they're in architectural engineering, and they interact. Everyone in your company it better be that simple, and because they need to internalize it and personalize it, and it's got to come from their heart, and they got to believe it, and it's got to be easy, and it's got to be fluid. And so it depends on the depth, but I think, Lou, you're going to realistically cover that naturally, but
that's always a starting point. Jeff, another thing, we don't expect people to take us at our word. We have to prove it in the beginning that we can deliver. So in a lot of cases when we have somebody who's reluctant or needs to be convinced, we actually let them have a module, let them see it and do the module and understand how it works. And it's a module that'll have immediate benefits to them as an individual.
Good.
Okay.
Good. Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a question I was going to ask. So
absolutely.
I'm glad you answered it. Now, I'm assuming, though, we were talking about this, but I'm assuming some of that's not the value prop necessarily, but, being able to immediately say what you do is part of the training, isn't it?
Well, the first thing you do is you ask at that point in the training, you ask a rep to do their opening statement, how they approach a client. What do they say? Either in writing, in a phone call, in an elevator. What do you say? Somebody says, well, why should I talk to you? Well, here's why you should talk to me. Because my company can do such and such, or my product will do such and such for you. Right. Or your company will grow in this way by using my product.
Yeah.
You have a statement. It's not a long presentation. People don't want to hear long presentations. They want a very succinct, they want an answer to their question. What do you do? What's in it for me? That's what they want to know.
That's it.
That's your opening statement.
Yeah. Well, that's all people want to know is what's in it for them.
Mm-hmm.
And sales reps who start asking a bunch of questions or talking incessantly are going to turn people off. You've got to generate that interest. And if you do, the questions are going to come to the rep.
Yeah.
And then the rep needs to know how to handle them and move to the next level of the sale.
I agree. Yeah. I think God created us with two ears and one mouth for a reason. He wanted us to listen more than to talk. I heard an interesting stat the other day. Different sales guy mentioned that if your salesperson if your prospect isn't talking 90% of the time, you probably already lost the sale. And I mean, the whole point of that was you need to be listening and listening to them speak pretty much the entire time.
You do. And when you get to a point where they slow down for a second, the question you ask has to cause them to think and open up. That's where you want to find out what's important to them for their business. Where do they want to go? And then you relate how you can help them.
Right. Because
what you can do for them.
If you ask them too many questions and you get them in a one-to-one conversation, that's what they want, because then they can tell you no and get off, you know? But when you shut up and you just listen, they just will continue to tell you their entire life story and why they really truly do need what you have to offer.
Another interesting thing that happens, and people don't realize, especially young salesmen, if you listen to somebody with unconditional commitment to listening, just look at them and listen. That's the greatest compliment you can pay somebody.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
And you know what? They'll walk away from that conversation thinking you're a great guy and a great conversationalist, even though you didn't talk.
It's so weird, isn't it?
But it's absolutely true.
It is. It is. I've actually had people say that. And I'm like, I didn't talk at all, dude. Like you talked the entire time, but hey, all right, great. You know, I'll take it. That's funny.
But then, given the opportunity, the sales rep has to understand what's just been given to him and how to relate it to his product and how to present it back to the customer or the prospect in a way that matches what the prospect wants. And in other words, Rain does a really good job of helping you get through the steps or the process to get from the initial contact to the sale, and how to restart it if you get stuck.
Yeah.
How to really understand if you're in the lead or your competition. I've met so many salesmen who are projecting or saying they were going to get the sale. And then all of a sudden at the last minute, they lose it to somebody they didn't even know they were competing against.
Yeah. Of course.
That's somebody who didn't listen and didn't look at it and didn't put the effort in to understand the client.
So, do you also kind of go through the training of not every sales call is a yes? You know, it's a consultative sales approach. So once you start talking to them, is there a point where you realize that maybe what I'm selling them is not the right service or approach? Or have you done other work to research this company so much that you believe that it's a fit? And so when you're having this conversation, that doesn't happen. You know, there's kind of it can go either way.
Very, very interesting question. One of the things we do when we're teaching them to prospect is to understand their market. Okay. This has got to be done at the beginning of the sales training. Who is your customer? Describe your customer to us. And that's the people we want you to go after. We don't want you to go after these people over in the periphery who might be interested in talking to you or think you have a cool product, so they want to talk about it. We want to talk to the people who need it.
Yeah. So it's getting your ICP dialed in, right?
It is, and it also depends on when you say the opportunity or customer, what does that mean? And you could have very loyal, active customers, and what Lou's going to be helping the rep say there is going to be a much easier conversation. You're not really selling. You're really checking in and say, hey, how are you doing? And you're having a conversation, and you're then dropping in a couple follow-up questions of, hey, I notice you haven't been ordering as much, or whatever it may be. But then you have clients good clients, nothing wrong happened, and they're inactive. You have to assume their business has been impacted. They don't need what you sell, or what generally is the case, someone else is selling that same product or service. So that approach needs to be a little different. Yeah. Then you have the customers that no longer, they left on not a good situation. Something happened that triggered them to be dissatisfied. That's a little different as well. And that's a tougher one. But however, you still need to be making calls, because think about the transition with decision makers, especially with the baby boomers leaving the workforce in retirement. I mean, you can't assume that the person or people that you disappointed are still there. And you also can't assume that who replaced you are doing a great job. So you need to approach there, but the one that really is the challenging one, and probably the most important one by far, or those folks that have never done business with you. Great opportunity. They meet the profile and the ICP, but they're doing business with someone else that sells what you sell. That's an entirely different coaching. And that's what gets me most excited about Lou. I mean, you wrap his experience in the box. He's been there. I've watched him win unbelievable business, both at the sales professional, individual contributor, and the leader role of small, medium, and actually some really big corporate enterprise accounts. So I think that's what this enables. And he's going to have some tools to look to see what tools they're using there, because that's an entirely different process. And you're going to get a lot of no's before you get a yes. And it's going to be very frustrating at times. But you also need to be that much more prepared.
Yeah.
Well, another thing, Jeff, is a lot of people, sales reps, companies, sales managers, assume if somebody's using a competitor, that it's over with. They're no longer a prospect. Couldn't be more wrong. That's the best prospect because they already see the value in what you've got. They're just buying a similar from someone else. So what you have to do is you have to be smart and knowledgeable, and you have to learn how to reach out to those customers, establish a conversation with them that you can build on going forward so that you become a viable alternative supplier. And so many people don't do that. They just throw in the towel and leave.
Can you give us, I don't want you to give away the farm. I know it's part of the group, but give us one tip on doing something like that. So say I want to work with company A. Company A is working with another digital marketing agency. So what's one step that I can make to kind of still be there and help build that relationship?
What you would do is you would create a catastrophic situation. So I'm not saying this is going to happen, but what if that company, for some reason or other, their super duper development guy leaves and goes to another company or passes away, God forbid? You need to have somebody to fill the gap. You need insurance that if that happens, you've got an alternative, and we want to be your backup.
Okay.
I mean,
I like it. We'll call it the insurance strategy.
It's just an example. It's an example, and it can be highly personalized to the audience because you already know the competitor, you already know what the industry
are.
Yeah, and you can create a strategy. We said you need to have at least an alternative. You might not ever need it, but you might need it immediately because these things aren't planned. They just happen all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And what's beautiful about what Lou's doing there, they're going to try you and evaluate you. So now maybe it's only 10, maybe it's 20%, but you're getting a piece of the pie that you were at 0% before.
Yeah, you're establishing a bridgehead.
Yeah, and then you're just working your way through.
And then it's all about how do you do a better job, delight them, and outsell your competitor while you're building a really good relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all critical. But his approach, I mean, it's beautiful because you're getting a share of wallet from 0 to something.
Yeah. I love it. So, for those that have been listening, watching, that are interested in this program, how can they reach out and get a part of it?
Well, we need to come up with his name first because I would like to call him Big Lou, but there's already someone with like used cars out there. So
I think it was health insurance, wasn't it? Big Lou's health insurance.
Yeah, it's health insurance. That's it.
Oh man!
So it's either going to be Sweet Lou or what I know him as is LSU Lou.
LSU Lou.
So I think it's going to probably be LSU Lou, but I'm not sure.
Well, it's better than Cindy Lou Who, which we could go with.
Thanks, Jeff.
At least it's not Honey Boo Boo.
Honey Boo Boo, that's even worse.
You would reach us through Dean.
Through Dean, okay.
His organization.
Yeah. So that'd be salesgrowthimagination@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a component of his organization, not a standalone.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And you're going to, if you go to the LinkedIn site, we set up a separate site specific to training, both for sales individuals and leaders. And that's Sales Growth Imagination site.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to my site, you'll see a combination of what we do across the board. But we think the training component is such a great tool where we can help owners that entire LinkedIn site, company-wise, 100% focused on training.
Okay. Obviously, we'll have all the links in the show notes, in the description below for YouTube and the description for Spotify as well. Any parting words on the subject?
I don't want to turn it around. I'd like to ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
Because I know that from some of the podcasts I've had, and Lou probably doesn't know this one. I was at a big conference last year, and of course I sat down the bar, and I happened to get at the table with a bunch of Canadians. Now, I'm smart enough to know, do not try to drink that the quantity or the pace that they do.
No.
But they're like, we know you. And I'm like, how do you know me? Well, we know you through the podcast series and episodes that you're doing. And they said, the guy with the beard. And they're like, and they actually remembered the Dean Show.
Yeah.
And then recently, one of my good friends and close trusted advisors reached out and said, hey, who's that guy that's helped you with podcasts? And I tell him, I said, hey, it's Jeff Evans, J. Vincent Creative, no brainer.
Yep.
And at the same time, he goes, hey, do you know anyone that does headshots? And I'm like, just so happens that it's Jeff Evans and there's other parts. So I know that this is giving you a lot of visibility. But what I'd like to know is what can we do to help more? Because as we touch all these business owners, I mean, you're so natural in B2B and B2C, a lot more in B2C than we are. Yeah. I mean, how do we help you and the audience listening to make sure they're reaching out to you as well? And talk a little more about some of the things you're doing, because it's really impressive. And I don't feel like I've done enough to help you. I really don't.
Oh, of course you have. Of course you have. So especially over the last, I'd say 6 months to 8 months, I've seen a big transition in a lot more interest in video from the B2B world, the B2C world, and so on. Now, I know video's been there for a very long time, but I think the business owner is really starting to get a better grasp as to the advantages that video can have if you're using a company that understands marketing, understands sales before video, which is what I do. So I always tell people I'm a marketer first, a videographer second, not a videographer first and a marketer, second. So what that means is that I come about video from, it's part of the marketing strategy. It's not the marketing strategy. It's a part of it. And so then we create video that's very strategic. It's being used a lot more now for sales enablement. So it's really good for like executives that have small sales teams, like some of the same people that you guys work with, that these videos can help teach the prospects all of the frequently asked questions, those questions that get asked to sales reps more so than others. And you can have these questions answered on video so that they're already knowing you and trusting you before you're ever making that phone call, which makes the sales approach so much, I won't call it easier, but it makes it so much more relaxed when you know people are watching your videos before they even talk to you. So they're already pre-sold to a point. And every sales rep loves a good pre-sold person because it makes their job easier, because everybody wants to make money, and that's what we're doing this for, right? And so we create a lot of strategic video that runs them from awareness all the way down to, from interest and consideration, all the way into actually wanting to purchase before ever talking to anybody. And I've gotten pretty good at that. It's not just video podcasts anymore. It's a lot of other types of strategic content. And it's mostly video because of that fact. Yes.
I have a question, Jeff.
Yeah.
Can you take and record a Zoom meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course.
Here's the idea. I just want to run it past you. I think there'd be value in these role plays that we do with sales teams and salespeople to video it, then post video to go in and comment on certain sections of it, and then go back over it, give it back to the company, go over it with them to show them what they did, what was good, what was bad. In other words, and then they could keep that. I think that might be a really powerful tool because people love to see themselves on videotape and they hate it when they don't live up to their own expectations.
So they do.
could become a motivator.
They do. Absolutely, they do. Yeah, I mean, there's other platforms that you can use to kind of help that process. For regular Zoom calls, every Zoom call can be recorded.
Right.
And then what I would do is use a program like Loom, Loom, which is a screen recording software. And it's all browser based, so you don't need to download anything. And that records your screen. So then you can record yourself watching the video, and then using audio as well, being able to talk about those different scenarios while you're actually
I really
watching
think that's something we ought to do.
So that's a program that you guys could definitely build out for sure.
Agree.
Yeah, I mean that's
and be good feedback.
It is. And I'm sure honestly, if you look hard enough, I'm sure somebody already built software that does exactly what I just said, because that's where we're at in this world. AI has given us the ability to build software without knowing how to code. It's called no code. And there are 18-year-olds making millions of dollars now creating apps and software that they have been so creative to find out, and they're just using AI to create it and then selling it. It's pretty ridiculous. Now, I'm not saying that's a good business model, but if you're 18, go for it, brother. But for us, we're a service-based agency. I like sticking local because I like to be able to see people face to face. I can record virtually. That's not an issue. But I'm finding a lot of value within the sales enablement side, and then building what I call YouTube funnels. I didn't coin the phrase, but it's definitely what I'm doing, which is basically 3 to 4 videos that are all tied into each other, where there are links to each video in the descriptions of the YouTube channel, all the way down to the last video, which actually sells the service. And then the link in there is actually some sort of lead gen downloadable, or it's a Calendly link or something to that effect. It's a great approach because YouTube itself is the second largest search engine compared to Google. Mm-hmm. Obviously, ChatGPT is becoming another one of those big ones. But YouTube is so big. There's a great author named Marcus Sheridan, who I base a lot of the stuff that I'm doing now off of his books. Endless Customers is one of the books that I highly recommend every business owner reads. And it really goes into how YouTube is going to be your next website, and how people aren't even going to go to your website. They're going to go to YouTube first, and they're going to look for your company there because they want to see your face, hear your voice, and know about your product before they ever go to your website, if they ever go to your website. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have a strong presence on there, if you don't have the right videos and the right calls to action, that's when you should give me a call. We can set up a Zoom call, and I can go through this and sell them, which ties it all back to the Rain Group. So yeah. So anything else that I can help you guys with today?
Well, one question, because I know you deal with all the different medias, and I think about some of the services like Steve Beacham does. He does a phenomenal job. I mean, he's such a giver too. But I mean, he is truly the mayor of the Alpharetta Village, if 100%. You will. And you will see him. Now, granted, it's Hometown Mortgage, and they are phenomenal. But what he does is support all of his partners in around that space. They come in, he does a little video, and he has them talk, and he promotes them. And he has a very big network. So, and I look at that and I go, wow, it's owners talking about their service. He's got them very comfortable. Clearly, he's helped prep them. Yeah. They do a nice job. They really do. And that's, he'll go outside that realm and help anyone. But if you're in that home mortgage area or that whole home services, you have an unfair advantage if you're working with Steve Beacham. So I'm thinking about when you get over to the business side and these small business owners, a lot of them probably haven't ever been in front of the camera.
No, they haven't. And I work with a wide range of confidence on video. I have some that are just naturals. They're just chatty Cathys. They're really good on camera. Some that you wouldn't even believe would be, that are just absolutely phenomenal. And I'm like, wow, that was so easy, right? Mm-hmm. There are others where you're like, oh boy, this is gonna be challenging. And it's okay. And I'm not very good on camera either, but I still do it. And there are people that say, well, if you're not good on camera, then do written word. And I call BS on that. I say no. I say don't do that. Learn how to be comfortable on camera. We didn't come out of the womb knowing how to ride a bike, did we? No, we learned how to ride a bike by falling and by hurting ourselves. At least I do. So what's the best way to do this is to use your phone, put it up. You don't have to get by a stand or anything. Just put your phone up, selfie mode, whatever, and start recording yourself, talking about what you do for a living, and never post it until you're confident and comfortable in what you posted. And I started doing that, and it's so cringe, as they say, but it's good because it's repetition, it's practice, it's numbers, like you mentioned. Sales are numbers, so is getting in front of the camera. You've got to be able to hear that camera. That's the Buffalo, New York in me there. Anyways, you have to be able to get in front of the camera more often than not so that you can be confident, be comfortable, and because if you come across as like, if you're shaking all the time and you have no inflection in your voice and you don't seem confident, I'd hate to say it, but it could have the adverse effect. Okay. You could come across as somebody who is not confident in their own business, but you could be really confident in your business, just not on camera. So Steve Beacham does a great job. He's got a great social guy that he uses that does all that content with him. Props to them. They do a great job. No doubt about it. He is a confidence builder. Mm-hmm. He does a really good job of that. And that's something that I've learned how to kind of help that approach, because when I'm working with a client, if I can tell they're not comfortable, then I have to start building their confidence.
Right.
And I do that by humor, by making a fool out of myself. I'll self-deprecate all day long. I love doing that anyways. And it helps to ease people's stress, right? And I'll just say, look, you're really good at what you do. All you got to do is talk to me. And I never put people straight on camera. So you're never looking at the camera, ever. And ever, because I don't want people, because as soon as you look at a camera lens, what happens?
You freeze.
Walt Disney, man, you're frozen solid. Like, it's not going to, so everything's on an angle. And so like when you go home or, go watch like a Netflix true crime documentary, they're huge, right? I've actually learned a lot about video from watching these silly things. But everyone you watch, they're never looking at the camera. They're just a slight off. They say videographers say 45-degree angle. I think they're kind of lying, to be honest with you, but it's slightly off, and it helps to build that confidence, because what you don't see off camera is there's a person sitting in a chair with all the papers, usually a woman, because they're, a little bit more easy to manage, and they're having the conversation with the person that's actually on the camera. And so you just don't see that little movie magic action. But those are the things that we have to take care of. We have to do, because you have to be on camera. You have to do this now. If you don't, you're going to be left behind.
Well, it almost goes back to your question on value prop, elevator pitch.
Yeah.
But you're also a little tricky at times. The very first episode we did, I wasn't very comfortable. I was trying to be over-prepared, overthink. I had to go over to grab a water and use the restroom. This goes way back, Lou. And I had all my stuff laid out, ready to go.
Yeah.
I get back, and I had a phone call, and I put the phone down, and he starts immediately. And I'm like, okay. And all of a sudden, I start to look, and the table was barren. There's nothing. And it was one of those where he had that same grin right now. But it kind of forces you to go. And then, I got going, and at the end, I'm like, what did you do that for? And he's like, dude, you would have sucked at this. He goes, just talk, be yourself. You already know this stuff.
Yeah.
I learned that one, but I mean, you put me on the spot where I had to perform and just be myself, and it was a heck of a lot better than it would have been. But
he took away all your distractions.
He did. He even took my damn cell phone away.
Well, so, you need your cell phone.
I should say cell phone. But one last question for you.
Yeah.
I know all the different paths, because where we've been with the services that we've offered until we're doing the Rain Group here, it's been pretty much all LinkedIn, website, focus on B2B. So with what we're doing here with Rain Group, knowing that we're getting into B2C, and into smaller companies that we really didn't have the right way to help them before. What should we be going through other social medias?
Yeah, absolutely. So B2C, okay, is going to be really heavy on Facebook and Instagram. Okay. You can reach out to these businesses, direct messages on Facebook and Instagram, and you can get responses from these people. I certainly do. It's part of my prospecting strategy. So you definitely need to have a larger presence on there. There's no doubt about it. Now, but it also depends on who their ideal client persona is. So for some of them, TikTok is going to be much larger than others. I'm not saying you guys need to be on TikTok as a company, at least not yet, but you will. That platform is not going away. It's massively popular. It's not girls dancing anymore. It's businesses doing business. It's politics. It's a cesspool as well. I mean, it's degenerates, but it's also Christians. It is a massive platform, and it is all video. I mean, they have a couple of slide things. It's got to be video. And that's where it becomes incredibly important again, because AI is eliminating the need for you to be genuine through text, because you can use AI and it sounds genuine, but it's AI. With video, you cannot do that. If you use an AI video, everyone knows it's AI, except for my wife, God bless her. But everyone else knows it's AI. And there's no genuineness, there's no authenticity, and you are dragging your business to the gutter by doing that kind of garbage.
So you're going to help spoon feed us in the other mediums. And
yep.
I'm assuming you're already doing that with a lot of your clients.
Yep.
Perfect.
100%. No one wants to go there. No one wants to be on social media. If you are over the age of 40, you really don't want to be on social media. I can't tell you how many kicking and screaming, all of my, not all of them, but a good portion of my clients hate social media. They don't want to be on social media. So I take care of all of that for them.
We're barely over 40.
Yeah, barely over 40. Yeah.
40 and a half.
40 and a half. That's pretty much what I am.
But you can help spoon feed us there. Yeah. That's important.
It is. Look, business owners need to focus on doing what they do best, which is their business. They don't need to be creating content by themselves and posting it on social media. You need to delegate. Otherwise, you're going to burn out. Because like you said earlier, if you're not scaling, you're going to die. And that's it. You cannot rest on the logos that you have. You can't rest on the accounts you already have. You must always be selling. Right. Always. And marketing, obviously. Otherwise, you're going to be left in the dust. And that's it. That's my spiel for today. If you want to get a hold of me, you can go to jvincentcreative.com, on all of the socials at jvincent, and my email address, jeff@jvincentcreative.com. Dean, Lou, thank you very much for once again being on the show. Lou, it was great to have you on the show.
Thank you.
You are a natural, so didn't need to coach you one bit, so that was fantastic. You've obviously done this before, in some way, shape, or form. And looking forward to editing this one. There's a lot of great information in here, and stuff that I'm going to be able to use for my own business, which is I love. Because selling is not easy to a lot of people, including me, which is why I'm a marketer. But to make my business grow, you have to sell.
If it were easy, we wouldn't have our company. So
that's true. Till next time, take care. God bless.